Hi guys, Aceface back and welcome to the next episode of Wargaming Weekly, the show where I put out every Thursday and tell you about the news, rumours, a little bit on lists and potential ideas around that, and any questions that you might have asked in the week before. So, you know, hopefully it's something that will be interesting to you, and something that so far people seem to be really enjoying, which is why I bring you back week 3. So, delving straight in, thank you very much to my sponsor Wargames. Please do check out Wargames for all your hobby needs. Great prices, really good service. Recently used them only last week, got the models like that straight away, and you'll get to see them models, which are Age of Sigmar models, and you'll get to see those models tomorrow when the next Age of Sigmar video is released. So guys, that's that, but do check them out. So I want to talk about news first of all. So the Blood Angel new, whatever it's called, I really should get better with the names. It's not very professional, is it? But the new Angels, whatever it's called, was released this week. So we've now got a look at all of the content there. Real mixed bag in there. Some stuff that's very meh. Other stuff that definitely adds some flavour. There's some real mixed opinion out on the net. Some Blood Angel players absolutely love this new content. Others are really disappointed. Does much of it stack up to top tier? Well, not a lot of it, but there is some stuff in there. So as we thought in the rumours video last week, there is a formation where it allows the Sanguinary Guard to assault on the turn they drop in. That's pretty sweet, and also one where it allows you to Terminators to assault on the turn they come in. Again, very sweet there. There's some nice stuff around about speeding up Land Raiders. There's kind of like a scouting Land Raider thing in there, which sounds very fun. Get Land Raiders right up in their face and then jump out and assault. It's very fluffy, it works very well for Blood Angels, and I think it's going to add some good stuff and interesting stuff to the table. Yeah, really cool. They've got access to the psychic powers, Space Marine psychic powers, so obviously there's a buffing ability there, and yeah, generally some really quite cool stuff. So definitely pick up your Blood Angel supplement if you're interested. Great load of fluff in there as well. So yeah, again, contact Martin if you want to get hold of that at Wargames, and he'll sort you out a good price on that supplement. Other releases this week: Gore Chosen drops, which seems a really fun game. It's a kind of almost like an arena type game. 3 chosen champions of Khorne pit themselves off against each other. Seems like a very quick, fun game that you can play with friends. It's a good drinking game by the looks of things. And if you're into your Khorne, Bloodbound, great way of getting some of them cool miniatures at a very reasonable price. It give you a big discount as always if you buy them in that pack. So even if you just want them for that, a great way of getting it. But I think a very cool game, and the reviews and the news from it sounds like it's a lot of fun. So definitely again pick that up if that's something that you're interested in. So jumping into the rumours, and as I always say, these are just rumours. This is something that anybody can get off the internet. I don't have a source as such, even though that would be cool. So this is just stuff that I found and pulled together for your interest. Hopefully it is of your interest. And we'll go through it. So some more Gene Stealer cult news. So again, another really cool video released by Games Workshop, just getting us all excited about the Gene Stealer cult supplement or codex. Looks really fun. Some great narrative in there. It's a really long, well produced video, so do check it out. Looks really exciting, and some little snapshots of some sort of artwork of potential what might come. So there looks like there's a vehicle in there, so really cool. So what are the rumours saying about that? Well, the rumours are saying that I don't think that the Genestealer cult are necessarily going to get any. From rumours, it seems like potentially they're not going to get a flyer or a vehicle that's specific to the Genestealer cult, even though we're still kind of fingers crossed and hoping that won't be the case. Some people are saying that the artwork, it looks a bit like a Turok that's, you know, that's changed slightly, so maybe there will be some sort of wagon or vehicle, fingers crossed. But a lot of people are saying that that's not going to be the case and there will be no new models, which is a bit disappointing if that is the case. But what they are saying is that the Genestealer cult will be able to take looted Imperial Guard or Astra Militarum vehicles, which is very, very exciting, because if that unlocks the entire range, then there are some real good stuff within that Astra Militarum codex that, yes, maybe on its own it lacks manoeuvrability, but it has some really quite cool features, and something that definitely, as a Tyranid player, to unlock some of that potential and maybe bring it into, to reduce some of the gaps in that codex, might have some real potential. So a little bit more about that in the lists part of this video, but definitely some good stuff there. The next big rumour that's come through this week is there's been some leaked images of a new White Dwarf. Now, we believe that it's not the next White Dwarf, but the one after that. So why it's been leaked, we're not too sure how it's managed to get through, but it has, as these things happen. And the front cover has got the custodes, so basically the Emperor's private guard. So these guys in the fluff are, the absolute baddest, meanest, hardcore defenders of the Imperium. So these are the elite of the elite. These are not far off Primarch ability and and killing power, and it pictures what looks to be them. It even names it, so that is pretty exciting. And on that front cover it has them with Thousand Suns, and we think we can probably make out some Space Wolves in the back. So this looks like, again, the next box for 30k within the GW range, so a replacement or an addition to the Betrayal of Calth. So that's really, really exciting. These models will undoubtedly be insanely cool. And it's been a bit of a cult thing throughout the years. A lot of people have made, custode armies using like Grey Knight rules and things like that. So potentially having the ability to run these, even if you're using Grey Knight rules still, and they don't bring these over to 40k, the modelling potential in these models is obviously going to be really, really exciting. And knowing what GW tend to do, even if they don't launch them for 40k, it will probably come into 40k later. So that sounds epically fun. So that's it from rumours. I haven't got any other sort of wisdom this week on regards to rumours. So if you do hear anything that you want me to talk about in future videos, in the next week video, then do give me a tip off. Tell me what I should be looking at, what information I should be delving into, and I'll bring it to you guys. So yeah, so that's the rumours. So we'll talk a little bit about tournaments and upcoming events. So again, I've spoke about it not last week but the week before. The No Retreat free event is coming up in another 2 weeks now, so really excited about that. And if you haven't already, again, do please go over and click the link below and have a look at the SM Battle Reports website. They really produce some fantastic battle reports, some beautifully painted armies, and if you're interested into watching both my progress and other people that you probably have heard of, jump over, click the link, and you'll see some of the pictures and some news and bits and pieces as it filters through. There's going to be loads and loads of content coming up over that weekend, so one not to miss. And if you see it and love it, then don't hesitate to make sure when the next event comes in, you apply for it, get in there with some pictures of your army and see whether you make the cut and manage to make it to this fantastic event. So one definitely not to be missed. So, list it's not a list for review. I'll probably come up with some sort of quirky name for this part of the show, but basically the list part of the show. And what I kind of wanted to do this week, I didn't want to kind of focus on a lot of the lists that you probably already know. We might do that in future weeks, but I just wanted to have a bit of fun with it this week. And I just thought, I've been umming and ahhing in my mind what a Tyranid and, you know, Genestealer cult with Astra Militarum looted vehicles might look like, and how we can make it work really, really well. So this is obviously lots of wish listing and ums and ers, because it might not happen, but if it does happen, then you might have a list here that you can go jump straight on, get involved in, and it might be something that works really, really well. So what I've done is taken a basic Tyranid list that works really well. So I've taken 2 Flying Hive Tyrants, both with your Twin Link Devourers and your Electroshock Grubs, and then the troops choices, I've taken 2 Tervagants, you know, with their Crushing Claws, and 2 units of Tervagants for the tax, so they're both troops choices. I stayed away from the 3 Tyranid Hive Tyrants, just because I wanted to get the objective secure from the Tervagants, so that's why I've kind of gone with 2, and it saved me some more points for some fun stuff coming up. Then I've taken the Malanthrope, because you should always take a Malanthrope, you should never leave it behind. And then this is where I've done the guess bit. So I've gone for a CAD for the Genestealer cult, and I've taken the Magus, the Patriarch and the Primus, just because I think they've all got their advantages. It's great to have some psychic powers in there. I think the Patriarch is a really good hard hitting unit in itself, and I think the Magus obviously offers that extra warp charge and, you know, hopefully gives you some decent powers, but the Primus really helps in a unit with his Zealot, you know, giving those rerolls is really helpful. So then in troop choices, I've gone for the Fateful Throng, and I've gone for the Favoured Disciple. So the 2 different types of Genestealer cultists, basically. One's good because you've got the close combat ability, but one because you've got those mining lasers in there and some, you know, it's a bit of shooting, which is quite handy. But because they're going to be in a CAD, they'll both be objective secure in theory. This is all theory, guys, but hopefully you're coming with me on this kind of thought. And then again, really guesswork, but then Wyverns. So a battery of Wyverns, so a battery of 3 Wyverns, and that makes up to 1840 points. So that would mean you'd have a nice lot of objective secure, some monstrous creatures, some air support, but also the Wyverns, you've got some lovely infantry killing, deleting unit there that, you know, just literally choose something, delete it, choose something, delete it. Really good, and it adds a certain flavour to it. Now obviously we're not going to get Battle Brothers, that looks pretty certain, so we will be kind of desperate allies, but I think the way that army kind of works, it means they shouldn't need to necessarily be in each other's pockets. You can deploy them away from each other, so it shouldn't affect too much, but there's the synergy in what those units do. So yeah, so if that happens to work, it probably won't, but if it happens to work, you've heard it here first, guys, give it a go, because I think that could be a lot of fun. And actually, if you've got those models and you just want to try it out, why not? And then why not this weekend, just give it a go and see how it factors. If you're playing a friendly game with your mates, I'm sure they'll be happy to kind of try it out, because I think that could be pretty damn good. So that's my kind of list for this week. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you think that things are going to be very different from that, and actually we're not going to get access, because I'd love to hear your views on it. So the last part of the show is I'm just going to go on to your questions, and thankfully you've got a few questions to answer, which is nice. And again, at the end of this video, please do chuck your questions down below if you've got any questions, and I will answer them in the next video, but we'll jump over and have a look at the questions. So let me start with the video, because I also put this question out on my Facebook. If you're not already following me on Facebook, there's a link below. Do jump onto that and follow me on Facebook, because you'll see a lot of updates and funky stuff there, work in progress, all that type of stuff. So let's have a look at the questions from last week. So let's start off with Edic Beer, because what a way to start, the legend that is. So Nick says, there seems to be so many more tricks to making a good list these days with allies and formations, etc. What do you think about how this affects the tournament scene? So in my opinion, it makes it much richer, because if you've just got CADs, then you are going to see the same builds. The absolute wealth of information and different, formations and stuff out there gives an awful lot of flavour and richness within your choice, and it means that every game is going to be different, and it is also completely impossible to pick an army that will beat everything. So that means that anti-meta stuff is sometimes really, really effective in tournament play. So I really, really like it. I do think 40k is a bit broken at the moment, and I think it needs fixing majorly. Now that's probably a subject for a whole other video, but I think it needs a reboot, and I don't think it necessarily plays well as a pickup system anymore, but it's still an awful lot of fun, and it's still a great, great game and something I love, as you all know. But it definitely makes things harder, but it adds a richness that I really, really like, 100%. Great question, Nick, really great question. Let's have a look what other questions we've got. Right, I love this question when this came through. So this is a question from Frost and Fist. Do check out the channel if you haven't already. So the question is, what makes NIDs so bad? They get jump units and blind from gargoyles, and AP3, and infiltrate gene stealers as basic units. They can give their troops a 2+ cover. They have overwhelming numbers, and he just goes on to say that he's got some really good Tyranid players that don't really lose in his local meta or their local meta. So I think it's a great question. So I criticised Tyranids, well, quite tongue in cheek, but quite heavily in the last video, and it is difficult, right? So basically, is it possible to make a good Tyranid list? Yes, it is. Are Tyranids bad? No, they're not. They are good. They are a good codex. It works well. I suppose the thing that you've got to remember with Tyranids is, yes, they have a way of making a good cover save, but they are very dependent on a couple of units. Either you take Malonthropes, which is the only way really to roll, or you take Venomthropes. If you don't take them, you don't get really any cover saves, and everything else has no invuln, with the exception of Zoanthropes and Maleceptors, which is not... Maleceptors don't have a great invuln save, and Zoanthropes are only tough as 4. Everything else doesn't have an invuln save. So with so much powerful shooting ability in the game, the ability to just remove your models is a real thing, and just having something that provides that cover save does kind of make you play in a certain way, which isn't great at times. So that's not fantastic. The other real problem with the Tyranid Codex is a lot of the units are really shit. Let's be really honest. So I would say probably 50% to maybe even 75% of the units within the Tyranid Codex are not worth taking within even a partially competitive game. Now, yes, you can make them work, and most of those units are workable, but they are hard work, and they are not something that an amateur player can just pick up, play, and beat an amateur Space Marine player. It just won't happen because of the way that Tyranids work. So they are a difficult codex to play with. They don't have very much AP shooting, so they find it very difficult at range to be able to deal with mechanised stuff. So things like knights that are everywhere are actually very difficult for Tyranids to deal with. They're very, you have to outplay them, and every other codex has a way of dealing with them. Even orcs deal with knights easier than Tyranids do. So very difficult. Dark Elder, same again. Dark Elder don't have a lot of mech, but they have a hell of a lot more than Tyranids. We just don't really have AP shooting, which means getting into assault, and then actually our monstrous creatures ain't even that great at assaulting. Yes, they're monstrous creatures, so they have AP, but they actually don't. They're not very good. Even a Hive Tyrant with 4 wounds, he's strength 6. yes, you can chuck other buffs on him, but then he gets really expensive. But at strength 6 with 4 wounds and no invuln save, he'll get dragged down by units of Marines, especially if the units of Marines have anything particularly special in there. I've quite often found that Marines will take down a Hive Tyrant in a few rounds of combat if he doesn't roll hot. So ultimately, we ain't really the combat monsters. Yes, things like Gene Stealers are, but getting a Gene Stealer in combat is almost impossible if you're playing against a player that knows what they're doing. So no, Tyranids are not bad, and actually I've had an awful lot of success with them. You know, final of no retreat, top 5 in the last tournament I went to. I ultimately always stand up well and can get on top tables with Tyranids all the time, because I use them so much and I know the codex inside and out. But would I, if a new player came to me and said, you know, I want to take Tyranids, I'd say fantastic, great, get involved, play Tyranids. But what I would also say is be prepared to take an arse whooping an awful lot of times, because when you come across even a basic player as well, a basic player of Tyranids versus a basic player of most other armies, Tyranids will come unstuck. You have to be able to get used to how to play them. And that's not a bad thing, because that adds extra skill and extra value to your gaming experience, and when you nail it, there's nothing better than nailing with an underpowered codex. But we're not strong, we just don't quite make it up to the top codexes. It just doesn't work. You know, our super heavies, you know, so if you can afford to buy super heavies, and you go out and buy a Barbed Hurajul or, you know, or a Harridan, these guys are over expensive for what they do in comparison to it. So, you know, let's just take a simple example. You take the Barbed Hurajul, you only have to pay like about another 50 points and you can get the Taldar blimmin' Supremacy suit. And you can't even compare the two, which is just insane. So yeah, Tyranid totally overpriced for their gargantuans, and just generally, you know, they're too one-dimensional with how to play them. But you know, don't get me wrong, you can do really well with Tyranids. And I love them, and I always will do. They'll always be a #1 army, and anyone that plays Tyranids is okay in my book. But I hope that answers your question. If you disagree with me, you know, chuck it down in the comments below. Really interested to hear. But they're a tough codex. Let's have a look. What other questions we have on here? Sam Taylor, again, thanks for asking me a question again. So, thinking, I play KDK plus demons. What would you recommend against Tau? Going up against them soon, but never played against them. Thinking Murder Horde plus KDK and Cabal, would that work? Just rush them with multiple small units, dogs. Be nice to hear your thoughts as you play both. So yeah, I mean, I think you're bang on the money. So Tau don't deal well with Death Stars, they really don't. So basically you have one anti-Death Star unit, which is the Storm Surge, and then even one on its own. Sometimes you've got to be quite lucky with that first turn to make sure that you tank with your Invon, and then you're in there to stomp these guys out, and then you still need to be lucky with a stomp. With 2, the odds start to stack in the Tau's favour. So against a double Storm Surge list, sometimes that Cabal might find it hard, but the Storm Surges still need to get lucky. And if you're rocking hot enough with, like, yeah, if you've got Lords and you've got nasty stuff in there, lots of AP3, then potentially you could still wipe those Storm Surges out before they hit you back. Tend to find that's not going to happen. They probably will get an opportunity at going at you with 2. So yeah, I think you're spot on. Multiple small units with a Cabal will kind of keep your options open. If they've gone double Storm Surge, then you're going to find that really they've not got many points elsewhere, so you can mop up the objectives. You know, especially if you've got Murder Horde, you've got the you've got your demon incursion rule, so you're going to take those objectives, you'll mop up all his other units and, you know, kill a lot of stuff. So I think ultimately that's really, really cool. So I would definitely stick with exactly what you're doing. The Cabal is just getting better and better the more upgrades Chaos get. So yeah, absolutely, you should be able to annihilate Tau with the right loadout within exactly what you're saying. So yeah, give that a go, let me know how you get on. Claydog, so 33 Claydog asks, Wraith Knights should Claydog's come into the last chance open. Tickets still available, do grab them, but basically Clayton's coming over and I think he's having a bit of a laugh here. So my question is, how many Wraith Knights should I bring over? And he's laughing. The true kin are coming to get you. Insert evil laugh. So Clayton, as I said, I think you can't take your Wraith Knights with the Dark Elder because it's single faction, so don't try any of those dirty tricks. And you can only take one Wraith Knight in the ITC, so you're only going to be playing with one. But you dare bring a Wraith Knight, you dare. Yeah, no, honestly, I can't wait for Clayton to come over. It's going to be amazing to have someone all the way over from the Australia to play. So can't wait, fella. What else have we got? How can you use Tau breaches to make them competitive? And he goes on, I want to put them in Devilfish, move them close, use their pulse blasters to get to basically get the buffs from being a better AP and higher strength. And that is basically the only way you can use them. You stick them in Devilfish and you try and get them as close as possible. The reality is, if you're playing somebody that knows what they're doing, they're probably going to struggle to get close. All you can do is play with other high priority offensive units. So things like Wyvaras are amazing at getting in their face on that first turn, and then you use those Devilfish to get up as far as you can and then dump them out. They've got to deal with the Wyvaras. Hopefully the Wyvaras will take a bit of the slack and then your breaches will cause a lot of damage. So that's kind of your best bet. But yeah, ultimately there's probably not a lot of ways of making them work really well, because that short range ability of them means that most people will deal with them before they get close. But it can work. No, I've seen it work, so give it a go and let me know how you get on. Okay, so that's all the questions from the video from last week. We'll have a very quick look over at the Facebook page, so if you've got any questions. So we start off with Dwayne, good friend of mine. Hello, dude. Brad and Ange split is devastating. Okay. Right, so Philip Hargrave asks, Gene Stealer Cult, please, and whether you are doing them. I'm doing them. I'm doing one for the Dark Artisan channel. Also, whether you're open to a game from viewers such as myself. Love your games and wanted one myself. Thanks very much. I appreciate it, and it's great to hear that you love watching the games. It's fantastic. Dark Art's an amazing channel. The guys over there are doing a wicked job. I've done a shout out for them before, but if you haven't already, I'll stick down a link below. Do go over and check out Dark Art's and amazing battle reports. Really top lads. So go over and check them out. So your question. So yes, I will be doing Gene Stealer Cult. For me, my Gene Stealer Cult is part of my High Fleet Voro. So basically, High Fleet Voro, the tendrils go out all over the galaxy into different galaxies, and there are sleeper cells all over the place of sleeping patriarchs waking up and bringing in High Fleet Voro. In my fluff, High Fleet Voro are the ultimate hive. They ultimately are behind all the other hives that you've heard before. So they, things like Leviathan, Kraken are all splinter hives from from Hive Fleet Voro. That's my fluff, so basically everything ultimately goes back to this Hive Fleet, and slowly but surely those sleeper cells are waking up and beckoning in Hive Fleet Voro to ultimately infest and take over the galaxy. So that's the way I play them. So I won't play them on their own generally. I might in a fun game. For me, they're an ally to my Tyranids. They always will be. And if they stop GW, stop that, then ultimately they'll get put to one side. That's just, I believe. I might be completely wrong. I might take a look at this codex and think it has enough value and interest me enough to do it on itself. But I think for me, they'll be part and parcel of that Tyranid army. As far as your question on games, I am always up for games with viewers, 100%. Majority of my games, my studio is at home, so in the nicest possible way. I'm going to vet people to a degree. Most people that I play I kind of know and I've met from clubs or I know from events and things like that, so I'm not going to let a random into the house because of family and what have you, but you know, within theory you have a few chats on Facebook, and if you're able to kind of make the journey down and you know, kind of, you know, you've got your painted army and you want to play, then I'd love to play as many people as can. The more sort of cool armies and different type of people I can get on the channel, the better. So definitely up for that. You know, if something that's interested you, then by all means get in touch, 100%, and you know, we'll see if we can sort something out. I would say I'm extremely busy, probably now until, gonna say maybe the beginning of March. So I doubt I'll be able to fit everything's pretty much scheduled up until then with the Las Vegas Open and other things coming up, but never say never, so by all means get in touch with me, and that goes for anybody if that's something that really interests you. Can't promise you. I'll try and get back to you at least, but I can't promise I'll be able to necessarily organise anything, but we'll sort of see. And lastly but not least, Clayton comes back. Obviously he's already asked a question, but he wants to ask as well, what's best for tournament play, CAD, Unbound, etc. So Unbound just doesn't really work in tournaments. It's fun, but it's you can't really play it in a tournament environment. It doesn't work. CADs are good, absolutely good, and they have their own advantages. Obviously, with objective secure. The flavour is definitely the Decorium style formations. The buffs generally make them the way to go, but what they tend to do is they strengthen weaker codexes. The real strong solo codexes, things like Tau and Eldar and Demons, work extremely well in their own regards because they've got enough power embedded in their own codex. But you know, things like, you know, Necrons benefit hugely, KDK, Space Marines do extremely well with their Decorium formations that give them the extra buffs that make them really incredibly good. So I hope that answers your question. I don't know how long this video has been going on, but thank you again for watching. Do tune in next week where I'll bring you some more Wargaming Weekly. Thanks for watching, guys. See you again soon. Bye for now.